Hey, beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I guess you can call it a podcast. And today we are here to do The Chi, Season 4, Episode 8, Love Jones. And I smiled when I saw the title because I love Love Jones, because I love Lorenz Tate, because Chicago, woot woot. Um, Before I get started, though, you guys, I want to do what my girl Rox, she's a YouTuber. It's Rox. She would call a little housekeeping. And I just want to talk about a couple quick things. But I was supposed to do, what's that show called? Oh, Family or Fiance. However, my computer is going super slow and I've deleted everything off of here. I'm not sure what it's doing, but it took like an hour and a half to render Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I was like, I'm going to bed. And this morning I have to do this video and Raising Canaan. So I am going to do Family or Fiance. It's just probably going to be really late, or maybe I'll skip this one until I get my computer fixed and figure out what the heck is going on. But that's that. Second thing, you guys, do you feel like I need some music or something behind me? Because when I listen back to my videos, I cringe. I don't know if other people have the same situation going on when they hear themselves, but I can listen to reviewers and podcasts all day, which I do, and it's fine. However, when I hear myself, I'm like, God, I need some music or I need something. I don't know why, but I just feel like my voice sounds so microphone and studio-ish or something. So you guys, tell me what you think. Let me know. I'm up for suggestions. Do I need some music? Not loud music, but just something to go along with me. Would y'all feel better with that? All right, let me know in the comments, please. And welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. And if you are here and you haven't subscribed, please do like the video, make a comment, and let's get started with The Chi. All right, so we start off with Emmett, and he's texting somebody. The movie is on, and then he just picks up the phone and call, and it's Keisha, and he's letting her know that Love Jones is on, and it's on his favorite part, which is when Darius goes and give Nina the CD. Like he basically stalks her from the music shop and takes her the CD and everything and asks her out. And it's so cute because I love their bond. I love their bond. Keisha and Emmett. I don't think I want to see them together, but I do love their bond that they have. And Emmett, poor thing, is just bored because where's Tiffany? Emmett is just bored. So it's so cute. She's like, thank you for letting me know it's on. And he's like, yeah, I know you don't be watching TV like that. She said, yeah, I know, but something about this movie just always make me smile. And I'm like, girl, it's Lorenz. That's what it is. He's the something. So Keisha tells Emmett that she really needed that today, and he's like, what's wrong? She's saying nothing, just stressed. He's like, well, you know I'm always here for you. She says, I know. So cute. And then he says, have you ever wondered if Lorenz and Nia ever got together in real life? And he's like, them sex scenes look real as fuck. And she's like, boy, and she hang up on him. And then he texts Tiff, where are you? Because again, poor Emmett is bored. So now we have Kevin, and he's calling Lene again. That's the girl that had the video game. And he's like, yeah, I'm just leaving you this message in case you didn't get the other one. And at the same time, Keisha comes in, and she's like, don't be thirsty. And she starts laughing. He's like, it's not funny. And she's like, yes, it is. And he's like, so you think I should leave her alone? And she's like, no, I think you might like her, but you were using her to get over Gemma. And he's like, nah, I'm just trying to get out the friend zone. And she's like, you do that by falling back. And he's just like, yeah, right. And he says, so if it was between me and Jake, who you choosing? And she said, that's nasty. And he's like, nah, just act like I'm not your brother. And I'm just saying, who would you choose between me and Jake? And so you guys, he does this little stance and makes this little smile trying to get her to pick him. And she goes, I can't. And he's like, that's because you would pick Jake. And she's like, no, I'm not saying that. And he's like, you guys just like bad boys. She said, I don't. And he's like, yeah, you do. That's why you're not dating that corny guy at your job. And she's like, stay out of my business. And then he said, you want me to act like I don't give a fuck when I give a fuck. And she's like, well, sometimes women like guys that don't give a fuck. And he's like, and that's the problem. And she leaves. And I'm like, yeah, that's the problem. That seems to be how it works all the way around. Everybody wants who you can't have. Men seem to love it when you ignore them and have this nonchalant attitude, but as soon as you fall for them and start liking them, and of course, I'm just speaking in general, you guys, it's a blanket statement. I'm not talking about everybody, I'm just saying how it seems. But as soon as you start liking them, the switch up is real. I'm telling you. So yeah, maybe he should just fall back a little bit. Not to mention, this girl already told him she don't really want to date him. She don't see him like that. So Tiffany finally calls Emmett, and she's drunk and walking on the street with the guy that she likes, the one that has all the money, and he's being loud so that Emmett can hear. Emmett's having a fit. He's like, "Where are you and who are you with? And have you been drinking?" And she's all laughing. "I can't come home right now." He's like, "If you don't get your ass in a lift." And then the guy's like, "I can take you home." Emmett says, "I swear to God, if you pull up over here, I'm going to body slam you and take all your jewelry." I was like, Emmett is so corny. That's all you had, dude. So he tells her to get in the lift. She's not taking a lift. She's like, "I can't come until the morning." And he's pissed off. So Emmett ends up telling her, "Fuck you and fuck him too," and hanging up. And she's like, "Did he hung up on me?" And dude was like, "Yeah, I'd have hung up on you too." And I'm just like, first of all, it's hang up. Did he hang up on me? Not hung up. Secondly, Tiff is so foul. Now I understand the whole open thing. I mean, I guess how they're supposed to be doing it, but for her to allow this guy to just completely disrespect her husband like that, I think she's being disrespectful. I think Tiff is going too far with it. So Papa and Jake are at the restaurant, and Papa's sweeping up, and he gets a notification. I guess Maisha put up some pictures, and he's like, "Oh, look at her," and he shows it to Jake, and Jake is like, "Damn, look at Maisha," and I'm like, you better watch him, Papa, cause he ain't shit, and he'll try to take your woman." And Papa's like, "Don't be praising her just because she's all glammed up. She's a queen. You need to praise her even when she isn't, all glammed up with makeup and everything." And he's like, "Man, I was just giving her a compliment." And he's like, "Yeah, but she got some rude comments under here." Jake is like, "Yeah, that's going to happen." And he says, "Well, she acts hard, but she really is kind of sensitive. So you think she's seen the comments?" Jake is like, "Yeah, she probably did." And he's like, "You should go check on her." So Papa gives him this compliment of Gemma changing him and making him into the man they knew he could be. And I'm like, that little girl ain't did nothing. Please cut it out. So we now see Emmett in the kitchen, and we have our first reenactment of the movie Love Jones, where he has on no shirt and he's in the kitchen cooking breakfast, and he's buttering the bread all seductively. They have the Love Jones music, the jazz in the background. Tiff comes in. He's like, "You want some coffee?" Like, he is Darius love hauling her to death. And it is hilarious. He's doing the same cadence and everything, walking up to her all, slowly. And he's like, "Yeah, all these other guys can dick you down, but can't nobody do you like I do. And I made the eggs this certain way so that you can have a nice little hangover breakfast. And, go take a shower first. Do you want me to turn it on for you?" And he's just like trying to, I guess, kill her with sexiness and the fact that he knows her, because he keeps saying stuff about how he knows how she likes things, and she can, they can sweat her hair out and all that. And I'm like, what man is going to say that? But okay. So it's a cute little scene. He's feeling himself, Mr. Darius Emmett Lovehall. Papa goes to see Maisha. She opens the door. They have a little banter about the comments, and he's just trying to let her know that, look, you can't live a purposeful life and, not expect someone to throw rocks at you. And she's like, "Where'd you hear that from?" And he's like, "My dad." She says, "Well, your dad ain't always right, but that makes sense." And it's a cute little scene. He says, "I miss you, Maisha." She says, "I miss you too, but I still need more time." So Jake is at home on the computer, apparently customizing a vehicle that he's not going to get anytime soon. And Trig comes in and he's like, "I don't know why you customizing something you ain't going to never get." He's like, "Don't kill my dream." And he said, "Anyway, you told me to focus on school and not a car." And he's like, "Yeah, but you've been bringing in C's, which means you're not even focused on school." And he's like, "Well, how'd you get your car? Did you work hard for your car?" He's like, "Nah, I stole mine." And he says, "Well, you in here telling me to do stuff that you're not doing." And he says, "I'm just trying to do right by Gemma." And Trig says, "Yeah, but you didn't do right by Kevin." my thought is it's taken them all this time before people said something to these kids about Kevin and how they're doing Kevin. Like Papa just said something what last week, and nobody said anything initially when they first saw Gemma and Jake together, but now everybody's bringing up how bad they did Kevin. So he's like, well, you not talking to Rashad. And he's like, so when it became between him and Imani, you chose Imani. He says, well, that's my wife. No, that's not your wife yet. And he says, you know what I mean. And he's like, still. So they make this pact to, you go talk to Rashad and let me know, and then I'll talk to Kevin. Okay, cool, cool. So now we're back at the diner, and Kevin is sitting there. Emmett comes over with some food. Kevin's like, this for me? He's like, nah, you ain't got no money, and you not good for advice. He's like, I'm looking for Papa. And he's like, why everybody always looking for him? He's like, listen, because you always dumping your problems off on people, but Papa come with solutions. And he's like, so what's wrong with you? And he's like, I'm having some girl problems. Emmett says he needs Papa to help talk him off the ledge. And Kevin is like, yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out because him and Maisha having issues. Emmett asks him, what's the issue? He's like, yeah, apparently Papa is used to being the one in the spotlight. And now that Maisha has a little bit of fame, they're having issues. And Emmett is like, damn. And my whole thing is, since when did Papa have a whole lot of spotlight and fame? When did that happen? Kevin asks Emmett, why you need help from us anyway? You a grown-ass man. Emmett says, because love is hard. So Papa comes and he's complaining about being called in early. So Papa tell him, you can at least pay me for my expertise. And he's like, listen, don't be trying to charge me when your stuff ain't in order. And they start laughing, Emmett and Kevin. Papa turns to Kevin and said, don't be putting my business out on the street like that. And Kevin is like, oh, I thought everybody knew. So Papa says how he wants his woman back. Emmett says he does too. Kevin's like, well, you already got your woman. And he's like, something like that. And he goes, do you think I should try to get Gemma back? And Papa's like, nah, that's the lost cause. I couldn't make out what Emmett said. They were talking at the same time. Probably no. So Kevin says, so tell me this. Be truthful. In a fight, who do you think gonna win, me or Jake? And Papa doesn't condone violence, of course. And Emmett is like, yeah, you just need to be careful. He got them hands. And Papa's like, just because he has dreads don't mean he's violent. He's like, I'm not talking about that dude's locks. I'm talking about the fact that he comes from a family of fighters, basically. So Papa wants to surprise Maisha with something, but he needs Kevin's help. And he says, okay, I got you. So we're with Keisha at work, and little guy comes up, cute little guy. Did they ever say his name, you guys? Do they ever say his name? And I was really waiting for somebody this time to say his name. And he comes up and they do their little flirting thing. He asks her out. Finally, she says okay. Kevin goes to Maisha's house. Maisha comes to the door and he says, Maisha. She says, boy. And I'm like, who's she calling boy like that? So she asked if Papa sent him. He said no. And then she says, you forget I used to date you and I know when you lying. He says, okay, he sent me. So she lets him come in. They sit down, have some water. And he tells her, I'm proud of you. Ever since we broke up, you didn't came up. She's like, I've been a shit. And I'm like, y'all, they did a little bit of dating as kids, like a little ying around the house. But they weren't like together like that, were they? I don't remember that. So they end up talking about Maisha and the fact that she's shining. And she says, yeah, but the comments being so negative. He's like, yeah, but I've read your comments. Most of them are positive, so don't worry about it. She's like, well, what do you need me to do? You ain't just come over here for nothing. He's like, I need you to pull up at this party. She's like, cool, but just between me and you, I'm not trying to outshine Papa or anything. She's like, but what I won't do is dumb myself down either. And I was like, you better say that, little girl. You better know your worth already. Don't be dumbing yourself down for no man. Okay, little Maisha. So Trig ends up going up to the diner and speaking with Emmett. And you guys, Emmett is just telling anybody who will listen about his issues with Tiffany. So he lets them know that they're doing this open thing. He's like, cool. And Emmett's like, nah, not cool, because even though he can sleep with whoever, so can she. And he's like, yeah, this guy that she's sleeping with got a lot of money. Trig is like, so, spoil it with your heart. And he's like, you can't play by his rules or else you're going to lose, but you got home court advantage. It's your girl. You know stuff that she likes that this dude don't know. So focus on that part. Back at the thrift store with Keisha, we see her little corny guy, cute little corny guy. That's what I'm gonna have to call him until I learn his name, you guys. Talking to some cute girl, and Keisha is just like peering over from the counter, and she's looking. So they give a hug, and then the girl leaves, and Keisha comes over, and she's like questioning him with a billion questions. Who is that? How long ago did you guys know each other? Did you guys used to talk or go together? Yeah, back in middle school. He tells her anyone before 18 doesn't count. So he tells her, look, I know you've been through a lot, but you got to trust me. And she's like, sorry. He's like, it's all right. And you guys, I just think that I'm hoping that he turns out to be a good guy for real, because a couple of the reviewers that I watched really think something's up with him. And I just don't see it yet. Or maybe I'm just blinded by all the sweetness. He's a sweet little guy. And I am hoping and praying that he is just as sweet as he comes off to be. So we see Kevin coming up, meeting Gemma outside of something, a coffee shop or something, and he's professing his love for her. I know you're still with Jake, but I want you back. And she's like, yeah, that's harassment. And I'm like, I cannot stand this little broad. So she gets into this whole thing about how he's been conditioned to fight for his woman and think that it's noble, and it's not. And she says she has the right to leave him whenever she wants to, even if it's messy. And she said, and it was messy. And finally, she apologizes for being, I can't call this little girl what I want to call this little girl, but she apologizes finally. She tells him he was her first love and she'll always love him. He says, oh, you still love me? You should come with me to Papa's party. She goes, I'm not an accessory. And I'm like, oh, broad, I swear to God, I just want to slap this little girl. So then we have Tiffany at home, and she's doing yoga. Someone knocks at the door. She opens the door. She's like, why didn't you, use your key? And Emmett is in full Darius Love Hall gear. He got his leather on and everything, and he's acting out Love Jones and his favorite scene where he brings the CD and asks her on a date. And it was cute because she figured it out after a second. She's like, are we acting out Love Jones? And he's like, yeah. And he was turning around like, look at my coat and everything. So cute. So basically he asked her out on a date. She's like, okay. Y'all, I love Love Jones. I love it. So Keisha talks to little sweetheart, and he asks her again out on a date. And I'm like, damn it, these guys ain't went out on a date yet. I feel like he didn't ask her out like 12 billion times. So they're finally about to go out. Kevin and Papa are in the thrift shop because apparently that's the only store there. They have one store and one diner in Chicago. And you guys, I'm from Chicago. We have more than that. But in this neighborhood, maybe that's just what they do. So they're talking, and Papa's asking how how the conversation went with him and Gemma. And he's like, well, I learned that when a woman says she's done, it's best to just leave her alone. Papa's like, well, damn, should I just leave Maisha alone? And he's like, just make the party lit. He's like, you're right. Let me get this fog machine. And he's like, what's the fog machine going to do? Attention to detail. So little sweetie pie comes to pick up Keisha, and he has the his little bike. And she's like, I'm not getting on that. He hands her a helmet, and she's getting on that. And now we have all of this Love Jones inspired scenes, which I loved. I did. It's corny, but I loved it. So Emmett and Tiffany are leaving for their date, and it looks like she has on a little wig to look like Nina, and he, of course, has on his leather. She's like, where's your bike? He's like, yeah, I can't afford a bike. Oh, motorcycle. So when I said that little sweetie had a bike, I meant a motorcycle, that type of bike. And he's like, I can't afford that. And he's like, damn, just get in the car. He was like, you were perfect, Nina, because you get on my nerves already. So they pan back to Keisha and her date on the bike, and finally, we are being shown the Chicago skyline and how beautiful Chicago is. Finally. They end up at a record store, and they listen to some music, just like Love Jones. And he ends up buying the CD or whatever it was for her. And you guys, he does say "trust me" a whole lot in this episode, and that kind of gives me reason to pause. And I'm like, oh, please don't let these people be right, because why does he keep saying "trust me"? Those are the ones you can't trust. So Emmett and Tiffany goes to a comedy club. The Comedian is heckling, talking about taking people's girls or whatever. It was a stupid scene. So yada yada. We'll get past it. So back at Papa's party, he's dancing with Maisha, and then he looks over and sees Kevin looking all sad. He's like, let me go and check out Kev. So in the middle of the dance floor, he just walks away. She's like, okay. He walks, go checks on Kevin, and Kevin's like, yeah, I was wishing that Gemma would be here. She didn't say for sure that she was coming, but I was hoping. And this whole time, Papa has his back to the dance floor, and then Kevin says, who's that guy dancing with Maisha? And he turns around, he's like, I don't know, but I'm about to find out. So he walks up to him and he's like, hey, you got business with my girl? And Maisha's like, I'm not your girl anymore. And she's like, you gave this party for me, right? So let me enjoy. And he's like, oh, okay, my bad. So she goes and continues to dance with the guy. So Maisha finishes dancing and she comes over to where Kevin and Papa sitting, and she tells him, thanks for the party, I appreciate it, and I don't need you to save me all the time. And I'm like, damn, these girls are definitely something else. These little girls, zero fucks given. They don't care. They just gonna say and do whatever they want to do. This dude then threw you a whole party and you got another guy's number in his face. Yo, okay. So they're sitting there and Gemma walks in. Kevin gets all happy. Maisha is noticing all of this. Kevin gets super happy, and then 2 seconds later, Jake walks in, and then he just looks super sad. And Maisha's looking like, oh, okay. So Kevin asks this cute little girl to dance. She says, okay. They go on the dance floor and he's holding her hands and making her hold his shoulders and his neck and everything. And the whole time he's looking over trying to make sure Gemma's watching. Then we get back to Keisha and her date. And apparently, I guess she went to the bathroom or whatever. And when she comes back, he's on the phone. And she's like, who you texting? And I'm like, damn, girl, y'all on y'all first date. You already questioning him about other women. You all like, who you texting? And he's like, my roommate. And she goes, oh, okay, I trust you. Here we go with that trust thing again, y'all. It's definitely something is up with this situation. So they're at what seems to be like a poetry slam or whatever. Again, back to taking little scenes from Love Jones. And the poet is up there saying things about why does success have to come with punishment, and why do we have to fear things? Why can't we just go to the fear and, take it over and let it become ours? And Keisha has an anxiety attack and runs out. So back at the party, Kevin is dancing with this girl still, and Gemma and Jake are dancing, and Jake sees that Gemma is constantly looking over there. He's like, why are you always looking over there? And she's like, I'm not looking over there, but she's definitely looking over there. And they keep showing her looking to see what Kevin is doing. So Keisha ends up going back to Lil Sweetie's house, and they're dancing to some reggae music. And then when they show Tiffany and Emmett, they're dancing to reggae. And so this again is back to Love Jones and when they went to the Wild Hair on their date. So back at the party, Maisha walks up to Gemma, who is standing there alone, and she says, I always knew you wasn't shit. I was like, yes, Maisha, tell her. And she's like, excuse me? And she's like, why you got Kevin and Jake fighting over you like this? And she's like, I don't have them fighting over me. She's like, yeah, you do. You need to make a decision. And she's like, I have. And Maisha says, have you? Jake goes to apologize to Kevin, and Kevin is like, man, you should be sorry. He's like, when I told you to get a girlfriend, I ain't mean mine. And you guys, Jake's lips were on full rusty crustiness in this light. Like, that is not good light for him. I don't know what's going on with this little boy. Why don't they just keep his lips moisturized? He's a cute little boy. So they end up making up. Kevin says, don't hurt her. He's like, I got you. So in the end, we have Papa and Maisha talking, and she's thanking him for the party and saying that, she just gotta start to take care of herself and feel better about herself. And he's like, what can I do to help you? And she's like, nothing. And that brought me back to the Cat Williams stand-up where he was like, it's self-esteem. It is the esteem of yourself. So I'm like, no, you can't really help her with her self-esteem. But she said, just continue to be there for me. And he's like, I got you. So we have Gemma and Kevin talking, and Gemma walks up to him all super close. Where's your girl? And he's like, it's not my girl. Well, look like it. Y'all was show dancing. All this jealousy stuff. You was jealous. I was jealous. Yada, yada. She apologizes again, says her and Jake really sorry. He's like, that's fine, but when y'all break up, don't come crawling back to me because I won't be waiting. And she's like, yeah, and I'm sure you won't be waiting alone too. And I'm like, yeah, broad, fuck out of here, Gemma. So it's raining, and we see Keisha and a little sweet guy. He's dropping her off, and of course, we get our rain scene from Love Jones where they're all wet, and then they kiss in the rain. Yeah, I'm loving all the similar, you know, them kind of paying homage to Love Jones. I'm loving it because we also had Keisha doing a scene where she was snapping his picture. There was a camera and she was taking his picture and everything the same way Nina did. So this whole episode, it was lackluster, but it was cute if you loved Love Jones. So Emmett takes Tiffany out to where they first met, and apparently it was at the Taste of Chicago. And she's like, "Nigga, it was hot outside then. You got us outside in the cold." So he gets a ring box. He opens a ring box and gets on his knee, and she's like, "We're already married." He's like, "I'm trying to upgrade your ring." So he lets her know that he doesn't want to do the open marriage anymore. He thought it would be fun, but it's not. He don't want to do it anymore. And she's like, "Yeah, but I need variety." I was like, who says that? He's like, "Listen, we can role play, we can do all this different stuff, we can switch it up." He's like, "But yeah, I'm not feeling the whole being open anymore, for real." And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm tired of you cheating." He promises not to cheat. She says, you say that all the time." He's like, "Nah, for real this time. If we close the marriage up, then I won't cheat." And he's like, "This is urgent like a motherfucker." And I'm like, he's still in character. And she's like, "This is not a movie. This is our real life." So he tells her, "If you want to remain open, then I don't know that I still want to be married to you." And she's like, "Are you serious?" And all dramatically, he closes the ring box. And who's singing this song in the end? Is that Usher? Is that Maybe that's him. I don't know, but I gotta find out. I'm gonna watch the credits and see who's singing at the end. But I really, really, really liked the song in the end. But that was it for this week, you guys. Sorry, the video is a little long, of course, because I gave that whole speech in the beginning. But if you are still here, thank you so much. And can you please like, comment, and subscribe? And I will be back later for Raising Kanan, I believe, if my computer acts right, guys. Thanks. Have a good day. Smooches.